Oh, it was a good night. We got some things we got to talk about. Some things happened today in the world of wrestling. Some things happened yesterday in the world of wrestling as well. We're going to talk about a few things there. We're going to talk. This is DA Wrestling. Let's get going. All right, today's show. Stephanie VAQUER wins both matches. Look at that, but sets something up though for Stand and Deliver by the looks of it. SARAY leaves AEW. Kind of shocked. Not really. Saints. Looks like we have Ricky Saints' first major feud in NXT. And it's a kind of a big one, actually. Mina Shirakawa, she's leaving Stardom. Guess where she's going, folks. Makes perfect sense. Right, we're also talking a little bit about Baron Corbin. I know. Weird, eh? And we're talking about the possibility of a certain individual from TNA leaving and maybe going to WWE. Is he on their radar or is he might go to AEW? We're talking about that right now. Anyway, guys, though, if you are liking the content here, make sure you like, share, subscribe down below. In fact, the icon should pop up right about on this side over here. Right? Be sure you follow us there on Spotify, Podbean. It's really important. Right? YouTube, also very important. Right? We thank you for all your support there. We appreciate it, but let's get on this stuff now. So, last night NXT happened. Right? Stephanie VAQUER, my lady Stephanie VAQUER, she ended up winning both her matches. She defended her NXT title against Jada Parker. Then proceeded to get beat up, right, by by Fatal Instinct or Attraction. I don't remember what the hell it's called. But it's funny though, because Jada Parker was in that match against her, right? She hit that nice little high step she always does with the bump. And then she notices that Jordynne Grace was there. And Jordynne Grace kind of distracted her a little bit there too, which ended up leading to eventually the VAQUER and getting the quick pin, the quick roll up. Phillips actually came out, beat the hell out of her, damaged her ribs. She proceeded to go on the match. She ended up beating Fallon Henley in the final there, right, for the NXT North American title. And at the end, though, this is where it got really interesting. The same person that came out and kind of distracted Jada Parker, Jordynne Grace came out. Now, it looks like Jordynne Grace is going to be the next contender for Stephanie VAQUER, along with a slew of other women. Now, the slew of other women looks like it's going to be part of the North American title, right? Yeah, people like Kalani Jordan in there, right? Eva, cute girl, right? Looking for her, right? A couple other women in the division too, like Sol Roca. All of them kind of want to go into that division for the North American title. So it looks like there's going to be competition for that North American title. But by the looks of it, though, the NXT title is going to be determined between Jordynne Grace and Stephanie VAQUER. Going for Stand and Deliver. Now, unless something else happens, it looks like that's probably what they're going to go do. When I say something else happens, it could mean Julia. But like I said, we don't, like I said before last week, don't know how long Julia's going to be out for. Right? Could be a little bit of time, so she's probably going to miss Stand and Deliver. We don't know. They're still a few weeks away. So who knows what can happen. But it looks like Jordynne Grace will be the one to be contending against Stephanie VAQUER for that NXT championship. Which to me, it's a pretty big match. But the question I have to ask is though, are they willing to take the title off of the NXT title off of Stephanie VAQUER for Jordynne Grace? Comment down below if you think, guys. You guys ask your questions though too. Do you guys think that Jordynne Grace is the one that's going to dethrone Stephanie VAQUER? I don't personally think so. Because like I said, as they said before, reports before, says that Jordynne Grace is probably going to be temporarily in NXT. Where Stephanie VAQUER is going to be there for a bit more of a longer time. But it's also hard to deny Stephanie VAQUER's popularity in that women's division. And we saw at the Rumble how much it translated into the live crowd on the main roster. So maybe Stephanie VAQUER's time in NXT might be shorter than maybe Jordynne Grace's. Time will tell. But right now, that looks like the direction they want to go is Jordynne Grace versus Stephanie VAQUER for the NXT Women's title at Stand and Deliver hours before WrestleMania. God, that's gonna be a long day. Why can't you just do it on the Thursday? And you do the Hall of Fame on the Friday, but why can't you just do it on Thursday? It's a long day of wrestling, folks. It really is. I'm rewatching it, but it's gonna be a long day. Probably a lot of stuff going through the body that day. Anyway, we're gonna stick on the NXT side first, for a little bit longer before we move on to the other stuff there, because you know what? Might as well stay on the one topic. NXT also had the reveal, by the looks of it, and it's probably coming in for the past couple weeks or so, of Ricky Saints' first major feud in NXT, let alone WWE. So, in an interview, he was talking in an interview with one of the announcers there, right? And talking about how it's great to be here. These people all of a sudden step up their game, he's saying. Then he gets interrupted by Shawn Spears. That's right, AEW guy, Shawn Spears, the guy who was in the exact same company as he was not too long ago. Okay? And Shawn Spears basically told you don't want to burn a bridge here like you've burned every other place down that you've been in. How true that is, but hey, storyline. Right? So Shawn Spears looks like he's going to be the first person to feud that Ricky Saints is going to have to feud with, and it's going to be over the North American title. Not a bad start for Ricky Saints or Ricky Starks, depending on how you like it. I'm calling Ricky Saints now. I am kind of used to it, though. I'm more used to still Starks, but hey, it might slip out once in a while. Don't sue me for it. But Shawn Spears is a guy that can make Ricky Starks look even better than what he probably is. I wasn't the biggest fan of Ricky Starks in AEW, but I knew potential when I see it. He's like has potential there. Right? Just wasn't a fan of the gimmick. It's too rock-like. You know, there's only one rock. Right? But let me see where this goes with Shawn Spears. Do I see them putting the title on Ricky Saints very quickly over Shawn Spears? No, I do not, because apparently that match is going on next week on NXT. But I do not see that title all of a sudden just going Ricky Saints right away. I see maybe a Stand Deliver going on him, because they just gave Shawn Spears the title recently. Like 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Right? You want to hot potato that title right there, because he starts getting that aura of hot potatoing it. Who wants to do that? So maybe at Stand Deliver that might be the case. But right now, I can see Shawn Spears winning the first match. Right? Possibly, or just a DQ kind of match, which will lead us set up to a Stand Deliver match. So right now we have Ricky Saints versus Shawn Spears, probably going to be at Stand Deliver, and that's probably where the title will switch hands. But like, there has a match tomorrow night. There is the match next week on NXT apparently. So we'll see what happens there. I'm betting it's going to be a DQ. And if I'm right on it, hey, sometimes you're right. Moving on though to AEW. Now, big news came out of the pipeline today that SARAY, aka Paige, has left AEW. Obviously, her contract ended up running out. They weren't doing anything with her. She did a post to thank Tony Khan for everything that he did for her, whatever. Right? She has a book coming out. Right? I believe it's either today or maybe the next couple of days it's coming out. It's kind of interesting to read. I might look in to see, trying to get it. It looks like an interesting read. There had some excerpts popped out about it. Point where when she was younger, a very young Drew McIntyre helped her out with some things or saved her from kind of some weird things. I'm not too sure really what it was, but kind of look forward to reading the book there. She did mention Drew McIntyre in the book. So that sounds interesting. But the question you got to ask yourself, though, is will she come back to WWE? Is that a possibility? The possibility of it is that she hasn't ruled it out. Right? Obviously, WWE is where her neck did get hurt. Obviously, there is a lot of history there in WWE. But there's also a lot of stuff that she didn't really get to really accomplish in WWE. Do I think WWE would maybe handle Paige better than maybe AEW did in the past year or so? Absolutely. Right? The question is whether she wants to. right? In AEW, it's two different things with AEW and WWE. WWE, yes, you're kind of more or less locked into WWE. That's kind of what you're doing. Whereas AEW, they give you more of the options to say, go off and do other things if you want to, right? So, do I see Saraya going back to WWE? Going back to the Paige gimmick? Yeah, it's a possibility. 100% it's a possibility of it. If you think it's a possibility, comment down below. But I honestly think it's going to be that she probably will eventually make her way to WWE. I just think it'll be time over time. I don't think it's going to happen right away. I mean, who's to say it doesn't happen at the Raw after WrestleMania? Who's to say that? But I don't see it as a right away thing. I see it happening maybe over time. There's a lot of excellent talent, women talent in WWE. Do I really think Saraya really fits in that right now? To be honest with you, sorry to break a lot of people's hearts here because I do like Saraya too or Paige, but I don't think there's a place right now for her in there. Maybe as a trainer, maybe in the NXT brand, just training, helping people out, training people because she has vast amounts of experience in wrestling. But I just don't see her right now going to the main roster or any of those things. I just don't know. I don't really see it in that sense too, and I think it's very flooded, right? You have stuff with Naomi right now, and Jade and Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, right? You have whatever they're doing with Alexa Bliss. You have Charlotte back there, right? You have Tiffany Stratton, you have Nia Jax already, right? Not to mention the fact you have the potential Jordynne Grace coming up to the main roster at some point soon, possibly even Stephanie VAQUER. So you have a lot of women talent in there to make that division and the main roster very, very good. Do I really think you need Paige right now? Not really. It wouldn't hurt, but I just don't see right now Paige or Saraya coming back to WWE as of this moment. So I wouldn't go out and limit say she's going back there. It's a possibility. It's a big possibility. But we'll have to wait and see and find out what happens down the line. Like I said, WrestleMania, Monday after WrestleMania, Friday after WrestleMania, it's a maybe, right? It's a 50-50 chance there. But I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't show up either. All right? Moving on to more AEW stuff. So, for the past time, a couple of years now, since Mariah May's been in AEW, we have seen Mina Shirakawa, right? Very, very cute, excellent Japanese wrestler, mainly in Stardom, kind of like on loan with AEW here and there. Mariah May's friend, very close friend. Word is, right, is that Mariah May is leaving Stardom and coming to AEW full time. Now that's interesting because there is talk right now that Mariah May's contract is slowly coming to an end. Will she resign if Mina Shirakawa comes to AEW? I'd almost say yes, right? But it all depends on what Mariah May wants to do right now. But that's Mariah May. Personally, I don't think AEW would want to lose Mariah May, right? But Mina Shirakawa coming to AEW would be a big especially on a full-time thing, would give that division a little bit better of a kick. Because let's be honest here, other than Toni Storm and Mariah May, right? You just signed Megan Bayne, who's going to be competing against Toni Storm in AEW, right? For the TNA World for the women's title. Sorry, I shouldn't say TNA, right? So, and then you have Chris Statlander there, right? You just apparently let go of Britt Baker recently, right? Who hasn't shown up anywhere yet, right? So it's gonna be a good kick for Mina Shirakawa to be 100% in AEW and hopefully bolster that women's division that has, to be honest with you, is lacking an awful lot. Right? Mike, tell me if I'm lying. Tell me if I'm lying. Right? So we'll see what happens there. But right now, Megan Bayne, they're starting to build Megan Bayne up. Right? There's not much else going on in AEW as far as the women's division goes, right? Other than Toni Storm. Let's be honest. If anybody thinks they have a lot there, please enlighten me. Because I don't see it. I watch that thing pretty much every week. I don't follow. We don't do shows anymore because, well, there's lots of reasons. But Mariah May isn't doing much either right now in AEW, right? So maybe Emir Shakawa may help that out a lot more. So it's good for them. And also, we're going to talk now about former WWE man who is now going by Bishop Dyer on the Indies, former Kansas City Chiefs offensive lineman. You know him as, some people know him as Happy. I prefer the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. He recently had an interview with Ariel Helwani, right? Tom Pestock, for those who don't know, aka Baron Corbin, right? And he said he was very much blindsided by the release of WWE. He kind of doubled down a little bit on it, right? So months happened a few months ago. He was releasing the part of the things, part of the releases that went on, I believe in January, February, and he has obviously done some things outside of everything, but he's come to the conclusion that he's also been blindsided about this, right? Because in his eyes, he felt he did everything right and all those things. He was very much a company man. Randy Orton even said to him that he thinks he'll be a WWE lifer, right? He never ruffled any feathers. There was never any reports of Baron Corbin having heat on anybody really in the back, if I'm correct. Comment down below if I'm wrong. But he basically everything he wanted. If people wanted to give him flowers, they did it, right? He wanted him to lose certain matches. He did it. He didn't really argue anything. He never tried to debate anything with anybody, right? He was a good hand in WWE. Yes, was a character at times annoying, especially when he was happy. Absolutely. 100%. It was annoying as hell. That's why his Lone Wolf was so much better when he first came into WWE, right? In NXT, the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. My personal favorite version. But hey, right? It still remains to be seen why they really released Baron Corbin. Considering the fact that it could have just been basically chalking up to simple, just hey, need to make cuts here and there. Lots of this. WWE has been known to cut people numerous times to save money, even though they're a multi-billion-dollar company, ranging close to probably even trillions. Right? So, is it weird still? Yeah. I can understand where he gets blindsided on it, because in his eyes, he did nothing wrong. And to be honest, I don't think he did anything wrong either. But eventually, all things will come to a head. Eventually, everything comes out. Right? So, we'll have to wait and see and find out what goes on with that. But right now, Baron Corbin, aka Tom Pestock, is saying that he has been blindsided by it. He wasn't very sure why he did. He did all these things that are right, and he's not wrong. At least in my eyes. I mean, for all we know, he could have done something else that was really stupid, and nobody knows about it. Like I said, eventually things will come out. They always do. Anyway, moving on to that last story we're going to talk about. So, if anybody watched or saw clips of the Jason Bay, we mentioned on Monday, right? Tribute show that happened between a match between Karrion Kross and now no longer with TNA, Alexander Hammerstone. Now, reports have come out a little bit through Wrestle Inc. and all those things, or Wrestle Ringside Wrestling, that Hammerstone might go to AEW and possibly reunite with MJF. There's from the time of the Indies. AEW kind of went out as the record and said, no, I'm not really interested in Hammerstone. Right? But reports now are coming out that possibly WWE might be really interested in him. He's a talented guy. Obviously had that match with Karrion Kross at the Jason Bay Foundation tribute show. Right? Karrion Kross is pretty well known in WWE at this point there. Right? Probably very well respected in WWE. So is it possible he might put a word in for Hammerstone? Yeah. He's a big guy. WWE historically has liked big guys, but then again, their kind of focus has changed a lot from what it used to be under the whack job. So it's entirely possible they aren't interested in him, but he's talented. He's a big dude. It's possibly the WWE does have interest in him. We just don't know right now, and time will tell whether or not they sign or bring in Hammerstone. If you do, my guess is probably NXT to start. See how he reacts to it. Get used to what's going on there. But then again, you have the TNA thing where he just left TNA. Apparently, his contract ended on March 7th of this year. So, would they want to bring in Hammerstone, even though they're in a working relationship with TNA? That remains to be seen, to be honest with you. So maybe he will not go to WWE. But there might be interest there. So we'll have to wait and see and find out what goes on with that. And who knows what goes on with Hammerstone later on. Might just go to the Indies. Maybe he will go to AEW and reunite with MJF and become the new Wardlow. Because God knows what the hell Wardlow is. No one's seen that guy in months. Don't know if he's injured. Don't know if he's dead. Don't know of anything. We'll see. Anyway, guys, here. That's the show for today. That's your new weekly news update. This is DA Wrestling. I'm Andrew. Have yourself a wonderful day. Stay warm. Stay well. And hey, don't forget to like, share, subscribe down below there. Follow us on our socials. Yeah, at this point, guys, you probably know our socials already. We are on X and DA Wrestling. That's the most important one. And DA Sports, that's also the most important one. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe on Podbean, YouTube. Very important on YouTube. Podbean, very important as well. And Spotify. Have yourself a good night, guys. And have a good one.